465 families, 2,000 families in London, and here's a corporation that has generated $6 billion of profit, and we have a very educated, skilled workforce that the word competitiveness means move your work any fucking place you want in the world, quite frankly, at the expense of a community. So today I have 465 families that are devastated, don't know whether they're going to put their kids through school or not. Another 1,500 spin-off jobs, don't know whether the kids are going to have the same opportunities we had. So this is a devastating day for our membership. It's a devastating day for Canada. And it's a day that if Stephen Harper doesn't wake up, there will be no jobs left in this country that are meaningful, that are value-added, that provide for a decent standard of living. And again, our members weren't at all at fault in this particular dispute. The reality is this company bought this company, recognizing under due diligence what our collective agreement was. No doubt in my mind that they intended to close this facility when they bought it a year ago. And I'm saying to Prime Minister Harper today, you got to look at the Canadian Foreign Investment Act and ask yourself how this could be a net benefit for Canadians when 2,000 families today are out of a goddamn job as a result of a lack of action in the government. I'm saying to the Premier McGuinty of the province of Ontario, we want a public inquiry from the beginning of the sale to the day of closure, because it'll recognize that this greedy, unethical, disrespectful, immoral company had no desire to get a collective agreement and make a contribution to this community and the families that are negatively affected. So the Canadian government, the provincial government, the municipal government, the CAW, and Canadians more generally got to ask themselves, what kind of a Canada do we want moving forward? I'm on the picket line today to provide as much support as we possibly can to our 425 members. But in isolation of our 425 members, there's thousands of families that won't have the same manufacturing opportunities as many generations before us. And if government don't step in, this goddamn crusade where greed can move anywhere, capital can move anywhere with any consequences from the community they move from, quite frankly, should be unlawful.
What does it mean for the future of manufacturing job in Canada? Do you think other companies might look at this and just ask the same things to their workers, threatening to close their doors if they don't accept big concessions?
Well, this one's a little bit different. We're talking about a company that made $6 billion of profit. In fact, our proposals were modest at least. We should be we should be sharing in that success. Instead, we're consequences of a greedy company. So if multinational corporations have the right just to pick up and leave and devastate communities, this may be a trend that's not turned around. But Mr. Harper and Mr. McGuinty can use the power of government to obviously put some public policy initiatives in that protects manufacturing. So, you know, this is a terrible, terrible day for our 465 members, but you know, it's a terrible day for Canadians. Because I just bumped into a retiree that said, you know, Ken, I got my 30 years. Well, tell me what worker today can say I might get 30 years in one workplace. The facts of the matter is if government doesn't step in, every single Canadian will be fighting for crumbs versus fighting for a decent standard of living. Well, in this particular case, we had no leverage. In this particular case, the company was inflexible in their bargaining process. In this particular case, the company asked for 50% cuts to a collective agreement that when I asked them, did you ever in your career, this is a guy with 37 years of bargaining experience from Caterpillar, have you ever presented a union in any country in the world 50% cuts to wages, elimination of a pension plan, eliminates of health care? I said to him 5 weeks ago that this is a closure announcement. This isn't a bargaining announcement. And he said, no, we want to keep the place open. We want to be competitive. Well, the facts of the matter is the only way that this place can be competitive is you put our members back to work, you get them a decent wage and benefits, and they'll produce the best locomotives in the world because they've proven it over and over and over. Well, we have a meeting scheduled for Tuesday with the company. That was the earliest time that we can possibly do it. And the bargaining committee will sit down and have a responsibility to bargain a closure agreement, and one that should be reasonable and one that recognizes the contribution our members have made to the success of this company, and they ought to have some goddamn passion about our members getting back on their feet through a decent closure agreement, through a decent severance agreement. But if Caterpillar treats our membership during the closure agreement the same way that they treated our membership in the last 5 weeks, we're up for a fight. And my message to Caterpillar is today, very simply, there's not one goddamn thing moving out of that workplace until our members get a closure agreement. We we will not leave this community. We will take over this plant. We will take over the equipment. We'll take over the facility until our members get justice here. Because we're not going to let this multi-billion-dollar profitable company crap all over the community of London and get away with it. So we'll bargain a closure agreement. We'll bargain with the dignity that the CAW brings with it. But Mr. Caterpillar, what you have done today is you insulted not only our membership, but 2,000 families in Canada in general about what kind of business you want. You know what we're going to see? Every one of us are going to see CAT equipment all over the place. We're going to see CAT equipment in our mining that's busy. We're going to see CAT equipment in Alberta on the oil sands. We're going to see CAT equipment all over on infrastructure, on roads and sewers. Yet they're not going to be doing any manufacturing in Canada. The Canadian government should automatically put a tariff on all manufactured products that are not built here in Canada and put that money toward workers' needs and effective immediately. So as a result of that decision, the bargaining committee now has a responsibility, and they've taken on this responsibility based on a meeting that we had just now to go in on effective Tuesday morning, which was the earliest time we could get the next meeting with Caterpillar to work on a closure agreement or see what other options that we may have available for us. So we don't meet the company face to face until Tuesday. So I just want to say to our members here at Electro-motive, think about this for 1 minute. At 9:20 this morning, they called my office and announced that they're ceasing the operations of this facility and moving out. At 9:30, they send out a public press release and don't even give us the opportunity to talk to our bargaining committee members first and our members first. This company has been disrespectful, they've been unethical, they've been immoral, and quite frankly, as Canadians, not just CAW members, this should be illegal. At the end of the day, quite frankly, if we stick together and build momentum as we have in the last 4 or 5 weeks, because other than the odd right-wing journalists, there hasn't been one single person that can justify $6 billion of profit, yet 50% cuts the salary. Nobody can justify that in your right mind. So Caterpillar